You see the camera's on.
That would have been a good way to start the line.
Uh,
Well, one might take you outside because your owner is too busy for you today. So I got. to do it.
you realize that this is recording now, right?
Well.
Yeah. What's up, Cody?
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, wait, hold on. I can't hear you. Whoops. Now I can hear you.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
Not too bad, actually.
Awesome. Carolina's coming in here. I gotta look at all these emails. Oops, and then. Oh, we're gonna do this in order of people who come in. Hey, Carolina, how's it going? Can't hear you. You're muted.
There you go.
There we go.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. All right. Well, we'll start with Cody because he got here first, and then we'll go with whoever comes in after that. It'll be your turn next, Carolina. Cool.
Oh,
There you go.
Cody, what's up, man?
not too much. I was just gonna get you to take a look at 2 of my pages and just make sure like I have keywords like used enough times and then have enough supporting keywords. Very simple. And I can post
no
those
worries,
in
man.
the chat
Chat.
for you, make it even better.
Perfect.
All right, here's the first one. What's funny about this page right here is I made it 2 days ago and I got an inquiry for that. It's for the state of West Virginia, and I got an inquiry literally this morning.
Do you know what the keyword difficulty was?
12.
Yeah, that's what we look for. I just did one I did one myself the other day for proposal locations, and we were page 1 like 6 hours later for that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, when you find like those are what I would call like gold nuggets that you can just kind of win at. All right, so is this homepage?
Yeah, those are 2 like duplicate pages.
Okay. All right, let me see if I got SEO quick still in here somewhere. SEO quick.
Yeah, I was doing.
I'm guessing. What's up?
Yeah, I always just do random keyword research, and I happened to realize I was that close to like a lot of cities in West Virginia. So I just kind of typed it in, and I seen the volume and the difficulty, and I literally jumped all over that.
Heck yeah, man. That's always like you can find a win where like the difficulty is like, I don't know, up to maybe even 15. But the volume's like decent, or if you bring in a bunch of terms together, like even ones that are only getting like maybe 30 in volume, but you can combine a bunch of them. That's a really easy way to get some decent traffic coming in without having to like compete. You barely have to write anything competent with it. Let's look at density here real quick. Looks like you got kind of a forward one. So is your main wedding page? It's not Virginia wedding photographer, is it?
No, my main one is Southwest Virginia wedding photographer.
Okay. That'd be the one I'd be kind of concerned. Maybe it might compete a little bit. All right, West Virginia photography. What about West Virginia wedding photographer? 6 keyword densities, like a 4. So you might want to add just a little bit of copy that doesn't have anything to do with your keyword, just so that it's not nearly as dense. What we're gonna do here is I'm gonna pull up. First of all, I'm gonna close like the 950 tabs I have open, so I can find your guys' stuff easier. Okay, close this out. This one. Should have done this before I got in here. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna pull up SEMrush. I'm gonna share my screen with you guys here momentarily. Oh, I got other people kind of trying to pump in. Google Chrome. Okay, so what I did was I just pulled up SEO Quick on this page, and it's giving me you've got your keyword in here 6 times. The density is 4.15. I think you kind of want it a little bit lower than that. So rather than telling you to put less keywords up here because we already got an inquiry on it, I would actually just put more copy in that doesn't like throw your keyword all around it. Maybe even try for a different keyword that's in here. So I might, like at the bottom of this, add in something that has to do with like proposals in West Virginia or engagement sessions in West Virginia, or some other kind of session that you're like willing to do, or something that's not even related. It could just be like we would call it like a wiki about your city. So, I love, or your state. I love West Virginia for XYZ. It could be the places that are really fun to shoot at, or something else like that at the bottom. And that would kind of lower your density a little bit, but keep the keyword count kind of high. The second thing you can do, this is a really cool tool. I use SEMrush, by the way. I think Jeff might be recommending Moz at this point. You guys, does that sound familiar? Okay.
I think Uber suggests. I think that's the
Uber
one I use.
suggests. So Uber suggests, I'm gonna give you just a little bit of a warning with Uber suggests. It doesn't specify where the traffic is coming from on there. And so with Uber suggest, take the rankings and stuff with a grain of salt, because something might have like high traffic and low volume, but the traffic may all be coming from like countries way outside of your area if you're looking for something specific or something even more broad in general. I've seen that come up a few times, so just kind of be wary of that. A tool like SEMrush will take like, I'm going to type in your keyword here at the top. I want the overview. It'll give me some data like it's volume. See how it says global volume? What Uber suggests gives you is the global volume of a keyword, whereas the volume where you're actually going to get leads from would be like a 20 here.
Oh,
Makes sense?
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You also know this is a more expensive tool, so it's a little more robust, so that it's like a bit more accurate, I think, in most cases. But obviously you're getting inquiries from it, and that's good because there's no volume. This is what we would call, again, like a sneaky win. Because even when they say 0 on the volume on these things, it doesn't actually mean 0. There's at least some people looking for it. I would always just like count these as like a guesstimate. That said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this tool called Keyword Gap. Okay, and inside of here, I'm going to take your domain for this term, and I'm just going to write this in subfolder, perfect. And then I'm going to take your keywords from that page, which would be West Virginia wedding photographer. We're going to go into Google, and what we're going to do is we're just going to look for non-giant companies that are ranking for that term. Okay, so Emily Ferguson for photography would be like the first person that comes up. She's page 1, result 1, and really likes to saturate your images. Drop that in there. I'm going to add a couple more competitors here. And we're just trying to see who, kind of who's actually ranking for what this is. Now, this is interesting. The Open Reports rank for West Virginia photography, but it's WV wedding photographers. I don't know, did you do a search for like the acronym?
Yeah, it wasn't barely any, and I think the difficulty was super high.
Okay, makes sense. Always good to check. There are some states, like if you're in Connecticut, Connecticut is always better with CT than it is actually Connecticut. So I'm just picking out like a couple of these that come up first. It doesn't really matter what their website looks like. I'm just grabbing whoever's on Google first. And if you have the ability to find 5 people on the first page, then I always recommend grabbing those first 5. So yeah, looks like it should be this person next. Okay, and what this is going to do is this is just going to show me, one, what words they're all ranking for. And it's also going to show me like if there's any other extra words that I could maybe fit in from here just to see. Okay, so let's see. Remember, is that the number of mentions? 30. So this is going to be the keywords that you're missing. This is a list of keywords that you don't have that you can maybe add in if you need to write extra copy. Okay. So you want to avoid things like obviously wedding photographers, Charleston, West Virginia. That's not going to help you too much unless you're specifically looking for something in Charleston, or if that's like a big city in the area that you want to work at. But you can see, like, I maybe would check out this resort here because this might be a resort that people are looking to have weddings at. It might be a bigger one. You never know. The other thing you want to kind of do is look for what's shared. You don't seem to have anything that's shared yet. Again, your page is new, so you may be ranking for something, but it may just be like a day 1 ranking. How new is this page again?
2 days.
2 days, yeah. So sometimes with tools like this, it's going to take a little bit more time for it to pull up, like maybe 7 days. It just kind of depends. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. Untapped are words that you can maybe fit in that aren't on your page at all. And so this just gives you an idea of how to write more content on that page that would be relevant, that your competitors are using to rank for, or might be ranking for, that you could try for. Now, obviously, some of these terms you're not going to bother with too much because something that gets 9,900 searches and a difficulty of 60. It's not you don't want to bother for it, but it's the long game. That's a long game plan. Make sense?
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I never knew you could do this.
Oh yeah, hey, this is a good little trick that you can do just to see if there's anything you're missing or anything along those terms. Now, what's cool too is inside of here, when you're writing content, you're trying to figure out what you could possibly like attach things to. You can pull up Keyword Magic, which is the tool that you would use for your keyword research. And rather than going again like with the whole the URL, I'm going to type in the keyword specifically. And then I'm just going to look for, first of all, anything on here that I don't have already kind of written out for. Typically, again, if it is a 0, I'm not super worried about getting it in there. If I just mention it once, it might rank for it. And there may not be an actual benefit to it. Okay. I will say typically, if you're looking at the cost per click result of something and you see that it is a little higher than 0, but the search volume is 0, I'm almost going to guarantee that that search volume is not 0. So you see something like wedding photographer, West Virginia. I don't think the search volume is 0 because there wouldn't be a high click volume for it.
That's true.
Now, also, I'm going to look and see if there's any questions. I don't see anything here that would matter. Phrase match, nothing there, exact match, and then related. Okay, so we just want to check, and sometimes you'll see nothing in here. Sometimes you'll see something. Then, just as the last check for the page, just going to type in the term, and I'm not looking for pages specifically here. Now I just want to see any related searches that are at the bottom that maybe I could kind of fit in as like a section, or a lot of times, let's see, maybe just Virginia photographer gets this. Yeah, so I would look in this section too for people also ask. Now, in as a general sense, we don't like to put our costs on the home page, but you could put your starting price on that page if you wanted to answer one of these questions and get ranking for this specific term. You could also put like an average of what costs are in that area. Now, sometimes you'll find like a hidden gem. A hidden gem would be a question that's not related to cost, but would actually like be a good use on your page. This is just like another good double check to keep making sure. When you click on more relevant questions inside of here, okay, so how much does a wedding photographer cost in Virginia? You're going to notice I get more questions added at the bottom of this. So always check the ones that are relevant and see what else comes up because you might get something you're not expecting. Just a good question to answer. All right. So as far as this page goes, again, with the density, I would just add a couple paragraphs at the end that would make a little more sense, like related subjects that would give you opportunities to put in either other keywords or at least get that density down just a bit. It's not bad. It's at 4%. It's not crazy, but I'd love to see it just a little bit lower while keeping the count the same.
Yeah, I just realized I repeated 6 times. If I brought it back down to 5, it'd probably even be better. I
would say keep it at 6. 6 is fine. I like between 5 and 7 is typically good. Okay. But when you're writing content for terms like this, it's better to try and add in a term that you might be missing. So if you're really looking for more West Virginia wedding photographer leads, it might make sense for you to add in a wedding West Virginia wedding elopement photographer section on that page, because it's not gonna increase the word count for West Virginia wedding photographer, but it might also bring you in other leads.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I always forget you can just do sections on a homepage for different keywords. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's you can make your homepage as crazy as it is. And also something that I think I was just talking to somebody else in this course that didn't know this, but the average page 1 results on Google, it's got about 1,500 words. So that doesn't mean you have to have 1,500 words. You have to go crazier than that. It's just kind of a good thing to notice that if your copy is really light and it's really small, that can actually be a problem because you're going to be competing with a lot of people that are doing more. Now, if you don't have as much copy, what you could do is you can back that up with more backlinks. Okay, the more backlinks you have, the more authority your site's going to give, which means if you have less copy, you still have a chance of ranking for the same way. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. You said you had another page for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so one focus, wedding photographer, Johnson City, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And you're going all over the place.
Yeah, pretty much. Have to.
Okay.
I live in a 5,000 population city.
I feel you. I used to live in Westville, Indiana. It was about the same thing. All right. Now I'm looking. So 2 things that I think are problematic here. First of all, you can't use the exact same image for every section of every page of your website. If you're going to do multiple home pages, you need to change up the images and you need to be renaming the images. Okay.
Okay.
There are two things you can do to kind of bump up your image results. Because you got to understand when you go to Google, okay, if I type in any term inside of Google, there's not just web pages that we're getting results for. Okay, we have map packs, we have images, and we have videos, and some terms will come up with those things. So you want to make sure that you're naming your photos differently, and they need to be different photos. They don't, I mean, you can get away with a few. They're kind of named differently, but are the same photo. But for the most part, you do want to include different photos on different homepages, so it does look different to Google. When I'm looking at this is West Virginia, and then this is Tennessee. This is a copy and pasted page, correct?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, you got to change stuff up. So again, I'll show you guys kind of like a little photographer.com, and then we'll just do another tab. It's over here. Photographer.com, Tampa. Okay, so very similar structure to what you have. Okay, as far as like we're targeting for more keywords. You notice it says Orlando wedding photographer. This top part's going to be basically the same, but the image is different. Okay, my Tampa page, totally different image, still basically the same structure and flow. However, if we're going down, you're going to see that this is more like my brand story, and then my mini about me is actually down here. Okay, so it's just a little bit structured different. It's also going to be a different mini about me. So the first section of the first top half of this is actually a different story than what's being told on the Tampa wedding photography page. The reason for that is that when Google looks at this, I don't want them to be thinking they're the exact same page. They're copied all over the place. I want them to be looking at the content and seeing, okay, this is different. It's not the same thing. Because it looks like spam if you're just copying over, okay, here's the keywords I need. Here's the exact same page copy. Makes sense?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. Yeah, and you'll even notice like I have things kind of reordered. Now there are certain pieces of this that are the same. Like where to go from here is going to be the same across those pages. I might change out the images. I might change out how I have the contact form laid out. But the big sections where there's a lot of copy are typically written differently, or at least structured differently, so that it doesn't look like a carbon copy for every page I do this for. And if you're getting to a point where you're writing like 1.5 billion home pages for yourself, my recommendation is to start jumping into the blogging stuff at a certain point, because that's a lot of big opportunities you're going to be missing. Okay. Keep in mind, okay, we're going to go in SEMrush one more time here. If I did like for me, Orlando wedding photographer, okay, I've got a search volume here. I think it's going to be 880. I'm right. Yeah, 880. Okay. However, if I was to do Orlando wedding venues or something else, I've got a keyword volume of, this is going to be like in the thousands, I'm pretty sure, 1.6K. Also, wedding venues Orlando is also that, I think that's closer to 6. So doing extra home pages is awesome, but just remember, if you have like 3 or 4 of those home pages, you also have an opportunity in blogs, and sometimes the blogging opportunity has more potential reach than the homepage itself.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of take a look at that. And you can even segment this down into specific blog or specific venues you want to work at, proposal locations, engagement locations, those kind of things. So my recommendation for you, change one of these homepage images. And if this is a homepage, I'm gonna check and make sure it's not the same. Yeah, it's the exact same. Okay. You gotta vary this stuff up. Okay. Change the image on all 3 of those. Make sure that you keep this one for one of them, because this is an awesome image. I don't want to take that away from you, but put in some of your other ones. And I think, didn't we looked at your homepage image last week, didn't we?
Yeah, and you said it wasn't good, which it was.
This is way better. Yeah, this is way better. But you got to do something different on each of those pages. Otherwise, we're getting Google to be like, hey, this is all the same thing.
True.
Cool. All right. I think next we had everything kind of answered for you. You're pretty much good on that for the most part, right?
Yeah, unless you'll just take a quick look at density real fast. Just
Oh yeah, no worries. Southwest Virginia. No, that's not what we're looking for. You're looking for
tab beside it.
Tab beside it. This one.
Yep.
Okay. Johnson, Tennessee. Oh, no, I pulled the same. Does anyone else always forget what the SEO Quake like little icon looks like?
Yeah, all the time.
I don't know what that means. Oh, I said compare URLs. I'll pull this up on here. There we go. Okay, density on this one. Go down to your 3-word table. Actually, I think we said 4 was your photographer, Johnson City, Tennessee. Now, keep in mind, even though on SEO Quake, it's not going to show you as a density for a 5-word key term, you still can get rankings for those. There's a difference between what we would call short tail keywords and long tail keywords. And usually the interesting thing is the longer the keyword, the key term is that you're working for, the more intentional that person is searching. So like if I was looking up, let's say I was looking at dogs, okay, that was like my main term. You might see a ton of volume for that, but that's not someone who's looking for dogs in like a purchasing mode, right? However, if I was looking for St. Bernards in Orlando, that's someone who's specifically looking to purchase a St. Bernard. So the volume for that's going to be smaller because the intent's more specific.
But it's more qualified.
But they're more qualified. Yeah. So photographer, Johnson City, Tennessee, 4 densities closer to 2%, which I think is great. Again, I would just check to see your word count and make sure that you're long enough and you don't need to add anything else that would be like a secret win for you. But I think, how many home pages are you at, man?
I think just 4 or 5.
Just 4 or 5. Yeah, I'd start working on some blog stuff.
Okay. Just kind of get.
Yeah, maybe even do the same thing for the blogs. You might want to do like engagement locations in Johnson City, Tennessee, Southwest Virginia engagement locations, those kind of things.
Okay, that's pretty simple.
Yup.
Cool. All right, Carolina, you're on.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good, thank you. So I'm new here, joined a couple of weeks ago. And actually I was in the middle of the process of rebranding.
Okay.
But I wanted to know a couple of things about it. But first, I wanted to check with you if the keyword that I have chosen for my location is like the right one, because actually that is a keyword that I have been ranking in the past for, of course, not knowing what I was doing.
For sure.
So I want to know if it's doing well and if it will make sense for me to start a new website, because actually I was thinking about starting from the beginning, but if I'm already ranking for something, I would rather just make some changes on my current website, which has some history.
So how big of a rebrand are we talking? A completely different name?
Yes. So
Okay.
I'm going to be changing my doing business as, and I needed to get a new domain. So that was going to be my question, like redirecting, will that affect my SEO?
Yeah.
And yes, other than that, it was going to be just like a lot of work on my website, because I'm a Squarespace user. I'm on the old version and I wanted to jump on the new one, but
Sure.
I think I will have to start from the beginning. So that was kind of I don't know how to move forward.
You'd have to ask Jeff a little bit more about this, because as far as the Squarespace stuff goes, only because he's been kind of in it, and I haven't personally, I haven't really heard a lot of great things about the new version of Squarespace.
Yeah. Okay.
I've seen a lot of problems come up, so I maybe would just hold off on switching that over if you can, until they kind of fix some of the bugs they've got going on. Now, with your old URL, how long did you have that for?
Around 6 years.
6 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. If that's been up for 6 years, okay, even unintentionally, you probably got some backlinks going to that. Okay? It's got some history to it. When you switch to a new domain, even when something's forwarded over, you're essentially forfeiting that history.
Oh, no.
It will make it harder to rank, not impossible. Just keep in mind, you're getting rid of some of that. Okay. Now you can still forward that link over to there. And as long as it's relatively related, it should be semi-okay. Now, it doesn't mean you won't drop in rankings. 100% you're going to drop in rankings as soon as you switch over. You can always come back from there. There's people that are joining the course right now that just built their website that are hopefully ranking up as they kind of go, and they might be able to do that in 3 months, depending on which term they're looking for.
Yeah.
But just so you know, when you switch that over, Google's going to see that as a new website.
Yeah.
It's like a blank slate. So it's not that I can't tell you whether or not it's worth it or not. You know, if your brand name right now is really something that doesn't fly with you, and it doesn't work, then yeah, you might want to switch it over. If it's something that you can kind of live with and it's not terrible, and maybe you can just reword it slightly, maybe do that, but keep the domain name the same.
Okay.
What's the brand name?
Okay, I'm going to send you my website so you can take a look. And
Let's do it.
Also tell me if the spearhead keyword that I have been ranking for is doing well. And if
Sure.
it's one of, okay. So let me send you in the chat. Yeah. Okay, there you go.
One
So
second.
basically,
you know, that's like super distracting. Sorry, my
I
roommate's
mean-
playing with my dog.
I'm in Tampa, so
Okay.
I have been trying to rank for Tampa wedding photographer.
Well, perfect. I'm in Orlando, and when I originally moved down here, I was going to be in Tampa, so I know a lot about the Tampa keyword.
Well, okay,
Let's
good,
pull
good,
it
good.
up real quick. Yeah. This is some secret information, because I was page 1 for Tampa wedding photographer for like the longest time. Then I switched over my main domain from. So this is actually going to answer your question too. I switched my main domain page from Tampa's wedding photography to Orlando wedding photography, and then I kind of had to wait and see things get back up. It's taken about 60 days so far to kind of get that back to where it needs to be. But I'm also not putting a ton of effort into it, to be honest.
Okay.
So get you in Zoom here. Let's show everybody off your beautiful website. Okay. So Choreography Studios.
Yes.
Why don't we like the brand name?
I just because I wanted to change the first name,
Okay.
just because of that. I've been thinking about it, just changing my name, like something shorter, easier to pronounce. That's all.
So personally, I don't see. Does anyone else feel like that's harder to pronounce? Choreography Studios.
Not too bad.
Yeah, I don't really think that's an issue. You could maybe make it more specific to wedding photography if you want to, like if you really wanted to do something with it, but I don't think you have to. That said, so first things I'm seeing here first, I can't see where you're based out of, so you need to have that higher up on the page somewhere.
Okay.
Tampa wedding photographer, photographs wedding throughout the Tampa Bay area, state of Florida, and destinations. Okay, so Tampa Bay is kind of one of those harder ones where it doesn't necessarily have a ton. But if it does, it's never Tampa Bay area. It's usually Tampa Bay by itself. So you might be better off saying like throughout Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Let's pull up Tampa wedding photographer here. Also, I'm going to pull up the keyword density things to see where you're at with that. Let's get rid of this one too. Okay, so for 3-word density, Tampa wedding photographer. Okay, new page. This is interesting. Why would that be ranking so many times? I'm going to look for this term really quick because you say it a lot. Interesting. So remember, sometimes these SEO tools are not perfect, and they might be picking up something that's inside of the code that you can't actually see. Especially with Squarespace, you don't actually know what they're putting inside of that code, so that might be where it's picking it up from. Not necessarily a problem, just something to be kind of aware of when you're looking at your density.
Okay.
Let's see, Tampa wedding photographer.
So what are you looking at right now?
So I'm looking at a tool called SEO Quake, and what this
Okay.
is doing is it's going to tell me the density of your key term, like how many times it's mentioned across that page.
Oh, okay.
What I'm seeing right now, okay, you have a 2%, you have 2 mentions of it,
Yeah.
and you have a 0.35% density for it. Now you're aiming for something between like, I think Jeff recommends 2%. It's been a bit since I've looked at that, but I'm pretty sure anything over 1 to like 3% is pretty solid. At 4, you're kind of just like right on the cusp of too much. And then if you're above 4, you're typically saying it way too many times.
Okay.
Really, what I would suggest is this is kind of an easier way of doing it. 5 to 7 mentions typically for a keyword works across the board. Okay. Typically, that gets you your density. or get you the keyword mentions that you need, but just make sure you're making it make sense within your copy. I would say right now you do not say that keyword nearly enough. Well, let's take a look at the website as a whole.
So that was
Observing what
one of
matters-
that was
Go
one of
ahead.
my questions. Because I know that the Tampa wedding photographer needed to be on an H1.
Yep.
That is just needs to be like only once, right, on the homepage.
Okay, so you only need to have one H1. That does
Okay.
not mean that you only need to use your key term one time.
Okay.
It just can only be listed as an H1 once.
Okay. There you go. And for example, like right now, that's my H1, Tampa wedding photographer, but could I rephrase that in a different way? Like, let's say, hey, I'm Carolina, a photographer in Tampa Bay, or like Tampa wedding photographer.
You could, it probably, so then that would no longer be your main term though. Your term would no longer be Tampa wedding photographer. Now, it doesn't have to just say Tampa wedding photographer. You guys can fit in as much as you want inside of an H1, as long as it's not like a book.
Okay.
So you could say, hi, I'm Carolina, a Tampa wedding photographer. That's totally fine. Or you can even say, well, you could go wedding photographer in Tampa, but you want to make sure, like, see, we'll do it for you. Wedding photographer in Tampa. Okay. For whatever reason, it has global volume of 150. Again, this is why it's really important to use something that tells you where you're actually getting traffic from. I wouldn't really go wedding photographer in Tampa as far as how I'm seeing it right now. On the other hand, Tampa wedding photographer, pretty sure is going to be decent. Yeah, 590. So I would 100% go with Tampa wedding photographer versus that. You can look at other variations though. So like this is going to show me variations of that key term. And you might find one that's maybe an easier win. So keep in mind you're gonna look out for things like you don't want to be an affordable wedding photographer in Tampa. Okay, that's not what we're trying. That's not what we're trying to attract. Okay, but you may want to be the best wedding photographer in Tampa. And if the volume here was higher than the Tampa wedding photographer volume, then this might make sense. What you want to do is you want to go look at this page, and you're going to select each one that makes sense where you can fit it in your terms. Now I'm looking at keyword density. Or I'm sorry, the volume of the keyword, and then the difficulty. Okay. In some locations, you're going to find that difficulty is higher. That just means that it's going to take you longer to rank over time, and backlinks are going to be a little bit more important. But you may want to fit in best Tampa wedding photographer there. If you can fit in photographers, it's not bad. What we're noticing here is that I'm kind of grabbing a bunch of these terms together. Tampa Bay wedding photographer, even. Let's see what else we got going on. You could grab a couple of these easier terms too and just try and fit them in. What happens is you start ranking for those, and then Google notices, okay, well, this actually makes sense. So then let me start ranking here for one of those more important terms. And then that's how your site kind of gets picked up a little faster. What you really want to do is this. You want to select like what I did here, which is I select the ones that made sense and that you could reasonably rank for. Get your volume up to like 1K per month. And then you're going to try and rank for Tampa wedding photographer primarily, but you're going to also end up ranking for those subterms as well. And you just want to fit these kind of in throughout the copy if you can.
Okay.
And don't forget, guys, when you're doing your keyword research, it's not just photographer, you're also doing photography. Sometimes you can find a way easier to rank for key term by doing Tampa wedding photography rather than photographer. In this case, I don't see that being, I don't see that as something that's going on, but I still might take a couple of these terms and try and fit them into the copy as I can.
Okay.
For you, looking back at your website here, first things first, I would love to see this term higher up if you can. Okay. Somewhere up here. Love that you have this, by the way. This is an awesome win for you guys going through designing your websites where you're like literally calling out that you have limited availability. What I would love to see you do though is if you can turn this bar black so it stands out way more.
Okay.
Or even like a darker gray, like even this, like the book gray that we got going on here. The second thing, I like what you're saying here, but you're selling photos, not books. So I want to see photos of people first.
Okay.
But I love that you're showing off your albums. These Kiss albums, or where are you getting the albums from?
Oh, those are graphic studio albums.
Graphic studios, yeah. Awesome. Gorgeous albums. So all that, then you get your featured in stuff. I'd like to see a call to action somewhere in between here. See how like I scroll down and I don't have anywhere to specifically go. I would just love to see a button here
Mhm.
that maybe sends people to either your about page or your really experience pages where I like to send people typically, but if you don't have an about page, or if you don't have an experience page, then go ahead and send them there. Love that you got this. Again, I've scrolled down. I've got nothing on the screen that's telling me where to go. I want to see another button either here or here.
Okay.
Hey, this is really kind of a good tip for you too, because you're bilingual. I maybe would write at least a little blurb in Spanish specifically to try and rank closer for people who are looking for it in Spanish.
There you go. Okay, good tip.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
wondering
'cause-
that.
Yeah, you could totally have a little section in there. And I think it would make people feel more comfortable with you as well.
Mhm.
In my case, like if I said Spanish, I think I'd have to prove it. You probably are okay. But yeah, I would definitely, if you have that skill set, then I think that's awesome to kind of show that off. People are looking for that. Okay. Yeah, I think you're okay. You just got some work you got to do as far as like adding calls to actions and telling people where to go next. Because there's not a lot of times where I'm seeing, hey, where we should go next.
Okay. Okay.
Cool. All
And
right.
how quick question. How do I know if like where I'm ranking right now with that particular keyword? Is there a way to see where I'm at?
The easiest way, okay, there's a few different ways. First is you could use a tool like I think for Androids, it's called Cert Mojo.
Uh-huh.
That's one. For iPhones, does anyone know what the app is on iPhone?
Is it the one called SEO Edge?
Yes, SEO Edge. So
Okay.
you would type in the terms, like the key terms that we pick you pick out, and then link it to your website and make sure and just go get a daily update of where it's ranking at.
Okay. What is a good number? Because right now I'm seeing that and I am on number 21.
Yeah, you're on page 2. You could hide a dead body next to your website and people most likely wouldn't find it.
Sorry, say that again.
It's a joke, but realistically, all right. So well, I just looked this up the other day. So 91% of people will click on the first page of Google. Okay?
Yeah.
Then it comes down to about 4% of people who will click on the second page on links on that page. From
So
that third page down,
okay.
about 1% go there. After that, it's about 0.1%, 0.001%.
Okay.
So any number that is below 20
okay.
is on page 3.
Mm-hmm.
Any number above, let's say between 11 and 9, because it does vary depending on your location, that's page 1.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So the closer you see to 1, the better.
Already, well, I've got work to do, but I didn't even know I was there. I mean, I don't know.
Hey, page
why
2 is
I
not bad. It's better to start from page 2 than page 10.
Even be on Google, so this is good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad. Look, I'd rather start from page 2 than page 10.
There you go. Thank you.
No problem. All right, Anna, what's up?
Oh, is that me? Hey.
That is you. That is your name, unless you're like.
No, it's Anne-Marie. Sorry. Yeah.
Anne-Marie. Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I'm at the pool, like monitoring my kids. So sorry for all the like crazy background noise, but trying to.
I literally don't hear anything.
Okay, good.
Good.
So I'm new to the program also, and I had already moved from Squarespace to Show It recently, like right before joining, and built a new website. Now you'll probably hear the noise.
A little bit.
But anyways, my biggest problem and why I've already worked with another mentor, but I decided to go with Jeff because I'm having a problem with keyword density. Like there is, or rather maybe keyword volume. There's just not very much volume for my keywords. And like I live in Delaware. It's a very small state.
Yeah.
And I have to travel a lot I think if you're from Connecticut, you understand, you're like all over the place.
I'm actually Florida. I just work with a lot of people in Connecticut.
Okay, someone else is Connecticut. But anyways, yeah, it's like I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with this. Like, I know the idea, like pick the one spearhead keyword and then build other pages that would rank for other locations. So that's what I already was doing with the other mentor, but
yeah,
I was pretty convinced he could like find me some keywords with better volume than we're getting. So I've already been ranking for like Delaware family photographer. I'm in number 1 for that. The problem is all of the people looking for that are looking for beach sessions, and those are 2 hours away from me.
For
So I'm
sure.
doing that. I'm driving like 4 hours a day, literally, to go to the beach. It's insane.
I feel you.
Today's my day off. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like, I've already hired a blogger and I'm blogging content for other keywords like restaurants or baby stores in Philly, that kind of thing, like other surrounding area keywords. That, again, that was like before I started the other mentor, that's his recommendation, is to blog like crazy for these other keywords. But for people looking for a family photographer, I guess I just feel like kind of stuck. I don't want to be driving all over Kingdom Come. I want like local traffic, but the local keywords are zero traffic. So
Yeah, let me show you. I've got something that's actually super useful that we'll kind of go through here.
okay.
So on my website, there is a blog. Okay.
Yep.
Actually, while we're doing this, let me just go back in the WordPress dashboard. Now I can go back to this. Okay, so I have a blog, and this is where to take engagement photos in Northwest Indiana. Now,
Yeah,
the reason I have this
stuff
blog,
I'm doing too, right?
yeah, there is almost no search traffic whatsoever for this place. Okay, like literally nothing. However, if I pull up SiteKit, which is a really cool plugin, if you guys haven't used it, you can see it's not like I'm getting nothing. It's not like I'm getting, like, this is a fairly newer article to begin with. I'm still getting 1.1K impressions. I'm still getting 63 clicks.
Okay.
So these tiny things do add up. Now, what's interesting about this is most of the key terms for this were maybe getting 20 volume per month, but they were just all kind of combined into one spot. You can do the same thing for your hometown. Okay. It doesn't mean you're wasting your time with any of these.
Okay.
Like if I was to look up in, let's see, where's a good one that's Airbnb, Northwest Indiana, of course. Best Indiana photographer. I'm ranking for that. Apparently that's great. When you look at these kind of terms and you're inside of, like, let's say we're in here, you see these like these tiny terms where, like,
That's
okay,
how all
there's
of mine are 10, 0, 0, 0. Yep.
combine them. Okay.
Yeah.
So what you do is, let's say I wanted to do Tampa wedding photography, and or let's go more specific. Okay, you're dealing with families. So in your city, whatever that city is, let's do keyword research for your city. What is it?
Well, okay, so I live in Newark, Delaware. My target client does not. I would be targeting like Hockessin, Delaware. It's a very
Any particular reason they don't live in Newark?
It's a college town. It's not really like family. It's not a whole lot of.
College kids have a lot of babies.
No, I'm like a really high-priced photographer.
High-priced.
It's just not my target market.
Okay, no worries. Give me the city that you want to work in then.
Just for the sake of it, let's just put Wilmington, Delaware, because that's the biggest area.
How do you spell Wilmington, Delaware?
Just like Wilmington, North Carolina. Yeah, only
Okay.
D. Yep.
Delaware.
So I'm
Look at
already
that.
ranking for, like, I think I'm on page 1 last I checked.
So here's kind of some things that we can look at inside of here. Now, if you notice, I didn't type in photography. Now, I didn't type in photography very intentionally. Okay. I want you to think about your target clients, what they're doing with their kids. Like your mom, I'm guessing those are your kids at the pool, or did you kidnap some? Okay, cool. Your kids are at the pool. That's awesome. All right. So what you want to do is, like, what are you looking for as a mom? Like, as a mom on a typical basis, how are we entertaining those kids?
Blogging like pediatricians in Wilmington, Delaware, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So you can write an article like that, like things to do in Wilmington, Delaware.
Yeah.
For parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be your best bet when you have like no other terms. But if I'm doing this, family photographer. Some areas you will say that, like, some areas will say, like, you do have to like kind of work very, very far from. Now, you said you were ranking for this already?
Wilmington DE family photographer. I can pull it up on Uber suggests I'm #1 for Delaware family photographer. Let's see. Photographer Wilmington, Delaware. I'm DE. I'm 22.
So that's not ranking, just so you know.
That's because that's not family photographer, but
Got it.
yeah, but the volume is like 0 for family photographer. Wilmington DE family photographer. Yeah, I'm in spot 5 for Wilmington DE, or spot 3, Wilmington DE family photographer.
So this is the thing, you're going to have to be creative with what this is because there's not a ton of volume. Now, I don't want you to go here and look at things where it says like 0 or 10 and ignore those things.
Okay.
These are very easy wins.
They're easy to read for. Yeah.
Someone who's looking for this is looking for a family photographer in Delaware. That's already you, right? So that's good. It may only have 10 volume here, but this is a guesstimate. Okay. Anytime you look at these results, these are just guesstimates as to what they could be. Okay. You should be looking at these and kind of combining them as best you can. Okay. Now that doesn't mean you're going to get 1,000,005 looks like you would for like wedding photography for the full state or whatever. But these are things you can kind of combine and bring in and then take other terms that would be related. Okay. So right now, just kind of keep this in the top of your head. For Delaware family photographer, I am seeing a volume of 50. Now, on that home page, I could link to or talk about, let's see, parks in Delaware. This is just a guess because I feel like you guys take your kids to parks all the time, right? Okay, I could link back into this and I might talk about my favorite parks to shoot in or my favorite parks to take the kids at. I would just bring this into one page, combine it into one page. It's called the content silo.
If you hop over to my blog real quick, I don't know if you can put my, you'll just see what I've been doing. And again, that was all just based on, I've been working with Kyle Goldie. I'll just put my website in here.
For sure, Kyle's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's been effective. I'm still in the group. And then I've known Jeff for a long time and I decided like, I was pretty convinced he might be able to add to this, but ultimately it's like the same answer. It's like, just keep blogging.
Well, it is. Okay, so guys, when you hear the same answer from SEO people over and over and over again, that's a good thing.
Well, it is. It is. It's an expensive answer to find out though.
It's an expensive answer to find out. I 100% understand where you're at, but wouldn't it be worse if you spent all this money and it took you until you got to the $30,000 or $40,000 guy and he's like, you don't have to do any of that shit.
Yeah, right.
It's worse, right? So it's a perspective thing. Okay.
Yeah. So this is my new show it site. And
okay, right here, this is actually bad.
Well, I know that that's what you guys say. Kyle says it's not, that you do Google knows intent and that you're ranking for both. And I am ranking for both. So I don't know. I haven't messed with it.
It's not bad. It's not great. Okay. It's not great. It's not specific enough. You almost would be better because newborn is different than family, just as an entire intention. It's not that it's necessarily horrible, but if I'm looking for a newborn photographer, I want to see pictures of babies right off the bat.
Yeah.
So I just think for intent purposes, you want to kind of like specialize this out, or at least put this as an H2 instead of putting it as your H1. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not necessarily going to. We're talking about a term that doesn't really get a whole lot anyway. That's the thing. It's not as competitive. Now, if you have anyone who comes in who decides to make it competitive or the search volume jumps up for some reason, then that becomes way more important. So sometimes it's better just to do things correctly in the first place than to be, kind of concerned about like that.
From my
but you're getting it.
Like I have a families page and a newborns page, and that's broken out with those keywords isolated. That I want people coming to my homepage understanding like these are the two, they go together, right? Like I shoot from babies. They do. It's just when I'm looking for newborn specifically, I want to understand your newborn process. And when I'm looking for family, I might be thinking about, okay, well, it's not just the newborn now, it's like the 5 or 6 of them. I think you should have a page for each of them, like you do. I just think that the pages, it's more like about search intent with people. Okay. If you want to section it out, you can section it out so it's all the same page, so they still get that same thing you're talking about. I don't think that's wrong in any way, shape, or form. Okay. Just in general, having your H1 be for 2 things doesn't always work. So if you, for whatever reason, decide to move from Delaware at any point in time, and you're like in Los Angeles and you do this, it's not going to work. Right. Or even Philly. I mean, it wouldn't work for Philly. Yeah. That's why my family's page is optimized for Philadelphia family photographer, and my newborn page is optimized for Philadelphia newborn photographer. So for sure. Okay. So kind of looking down through here. Here's where you get to choose which one section.
I get it. I get the mindset of it. And if you're a wedding photographer, I'd absolutely be yelling at you about doing this.
You can't
You're
do
not
it
in
for
that
wedding.
space.
No.
Yeah.
You can't do it for a wedding.
Yeah. Like if you're like, I'm a wedding photographer and I also take pictures of dogs, I'd be like, why? It's different. Different insertion
Yeah,
tests.
that's totally different.
Yeah, but in this case, I think you're like one of the rare exceptions where like I think it's okay. Not going to kill you necessarily. Just keep in mind if you move anywhere, it's not going to be ideal. Okay, so we have your blog coming in here. 5 Hawkinson. That's a fun word.
Yeah, that's like the town that definitely target market.
Okay.
So I've just hired a blogger using keywords that
Let's
you know,
check
they
out your
come from
bloggers. Well.
Kyle's list has all these different keywords that are associated. So we've just picked out a whole bunch. She's already done the optimization for the SEO for each of them.
Are these ranking?
They're all really new. Like I've just submitted them to Google for crawling and everything.
Okay.
I think they're ranking. I really don't.
Okay. Here's the deal. Before you have the blogger go write more stuff, not because I think she's doing a terrible job by any means, the way someone's saying it looks like it's done correctly, but make sure you put a pause on that. Okay. Because you don't want to have to pay her to do it twice. So you got a couple of them. I want to see some sort of like movement. And then if she did a good job, awesome. But if not, we'll find out why she didn't do a good job or what could be improved. So the next couple she makes actually rank right away. Because a lot of times you don't like it. If you're not doing the work yourself, sometimes things kind of go past it. You just don't realize it.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so again, just so you know, I'm not like shading any blogger. I think she's doing. This looks like it's right.
No,
As long
I
as
mean,
this is an H2, and this is like an H1.
Yeah, she's one of Kyle's like admin assistants, and she took on this. And honestly, like, dude, I suck at blogging. I'd rather pay her $60 to write one of these than me do it because
For sure.
I don't know the formatting to make it SEO optimized, and she does. So for that reason, like the photos, I would have picked different photos and stuff, but I'm right now.
Oh, she picks the photos too?
Like I upload them all to a shoot proof, just like a ton of random pictures I upload to a shoot proof portfolio, and she can just like go through and she renames them and she does all of that.
Okay. Here's one thing you might think of too. I don't know how, again, you're gonna have to understand, I've never ran a family photography business. So I'm giving you what I would tell a photographer when we're writing things for like venues or locations for shoots or whatever. The main thing we want to do.
Photos.
Yeah, related photos, but also like if I really think a place is great, like a certain park, in your case is what's kind of making sense in my head. Maybe it's the thing. I would write a blog specifically just about that one park, not a catch-all. That way you start grabbing that traffic. What's up?
I do have one that I wrote, like featuring a session shot at this beautiful estate. You know, like that's on there.
Let's see if we can do. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to show you what I do for venues and see if you can't translate it. Okay. So very similar to your top 5 restaurants in the area. I have a 30 amazing wedding venues in Orlando. Okay. Now, as I'm doing this, when I'm writing these blogs out, I'm fitting in my wedding imagery in here. Yeah. Additionally, all the venues that I have had a chance to go tour through, and I do tour and I connect with these people and make sure they know who I am and they have all my information. Again, different for family photography. They don't necessarily need it, but it's good to have that stuff, right? I make sure that it's all posted inside of here. Okay, so the photos are in here. They're connected. They're the coordinates, by the way, really important. If you guys go through the metadata of your images, put the coordinates of that location in there so you can rank for that location without even having to write anything in.
Can you do that?
You can, yeah, it's metadata. It's just let's see if I can pull up
including the location metadata. That's nice.
Let me.
I know what you mean.
Okay, yeah. So it's in the metadata. You just literally Google it and then add it in. Anytime I'm uploading something for a blog image, at least now because it's kind of a newer thing I've been doing. I've been putting it in there, and then I've noticed like my images are suddenly like top of page 1 for Google.
That is really good to know. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good little bonus. Now, what I do here. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say one thing I need to do on she's doing it on the blog, but I need to do it on the rest of my website is the metadata or the alt descriptions for all the pictures and all of that. I haven't even gotten that far yet.
Yeah, you got to think anybody, this is really good advice for anybody. There's multiple ways to rank on page 1. There's a map pack, there's the search results itself, there's the images, there's video. Those are
Yeah.
all opportunities for you. And video is going to start getting pushed more and more. So even if you create something like this is a good opportunity for you too, because YouTube is actually the world's second biggest search engine. If you take a blog post like one you have and you write out and you start creating content where you just read the blog on YouTube and keyword that out, it's a good
Really?
chance you're going to be, yeah, hell
What
yeah.
do you mean, like read it out? Like
You
literally?
don't have to
just-
read the whole thing. You're going to, okay. So like if I was going to do this, let me
Yeah.
explain. If I was
Yeah,
going to do
yeah.
this, I'd create a little slideshow. Okay. I'd put this video inside of it, or I'd put this photo inside of it, and I'd write out my 2 or 3 bullet points of why I love this location.
A PowerPoint.
Like a PowerPoint, and I would just go through and read them, and I'd use the camera I'm using right now to record it,
Yeah.
and then just put it up on YouTube. Because here's the deal: people aren't going to do that for your hometown. You have barely any search volume to begin with in there, so
Yeah.
you can be page 1. And here's the cool thing too: if we're looking on Google, right? What is this? Let's just go to google.com. We're looking on Google, and I start typing in restaurant. What was it? Parks in Delaware? Is that what we were talking about? don't know if
Do
that's-
like Parks in Westchester, PA, because that's one of the blogs she's done. It's
Chester.
two words,
Yeah.
Westchester.
Is it?
Yeah.
There it goes. Google corrected me. Okay. Now notice for parks, when I type in parks, the map pack comes up first. You're not going to get on the map pack because you are not,
Yeah,
here's the
I'm not
deal,
a
and because you're not the location. But what you can do, okay, you're going to create that image, you're going to go in the metadata, you're going to add your website to that metadata. Okay, you can put that in the link, but you're also going to put the coordinates in, and then you're going to go back on Google and you're going to go to Everhart Park and take the photo that you've put in there, and you're going to add it to the photos
the
here as a
contribution.
contributor.
Yeah.
And because it's linked to you and it has your name and your website in it, it ends up getting linked back up to your Google My Business page, which brings you up higher on that page because you're ranking for like the city. They do like a secret grid here for that. Now, back to what I was saying. Some terms, not all terms, will have the video come up here first. So if I was typing in best parks for family in Westchester, PA, and you had a video come up and just say like, hey, I'm Anne Marie, and these are the best parks I think for kids in the local area. I'm a local family photographer, and you do like a little slideshow at the end that shows off your best 5 images or whatever.
Here's the
And
funny
then
thing.
here's like the
I've
thing.
only lived here for like a little while. I don't
Who
actually
cares?
know these places.
Let me tell you a secret.
I have no
I'll tell you a
idea.
secret. I am new in Orlando. I'm the
Okay.
#2 photographer in Orlando, according to all the vendors in this area. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know where shit is.
No. People
I know where
people
Epcot is, that's about it.
sessions, and they're like, oh, what's your favorite Philly spot? I'm like, I don't freaking know.
Yeah, you don't have to. The cool thing about blogging and SEO and doing vendor relationships at the same time, you get to become the expert of the location, even if you haven't lived there. I've learned so much about the place that I moved to because I spent the time writing content for people to find in the first place. Then now everybody knows who I am.
That's cool.
So
Wait, but let me just clarify. You can put your website in the metadata of
Yep.
in Lightroom?
Yep.
I need to start doing that. I did not know.
Yeah,
that.
you can totally link your photos back into there. It's something I didn't know about either. And then I literally found a random video on YouTube that explained it. And I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. And then I tried it. And all of a sudden now, if I type in, let's see if I
Like,
type
when
in my
you
business.
import
it
your
won't show up.
photos, you can import them with that metadata preset, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to see if it'll show me where the views are. Yeah. Okay. Take a look here, right here. 41,151 views this month.
That's insane.
That's just from me screwing around taking photos in the area.
Okay.
So when you take your kids to a park, you're like, hey, I want to go try these different parks, see which one's the best ones. Take your camera, take a couple of quick photos and drop them in there.
Right.
Yeah. And for anyone who's a wedding photographer, okay, if you got a significant other, you're going to restaurants in town, take your damn camera and take a quick photo of you guys together at that restaurant, put it up in a blog. Okay. Connect it somewhere, drop it into the Google Maps. You like try and do this in a way that builds your life as you're doing it.
Yeah.
So back to what we were kind of talking about with you, I don't think, we were talking about this. So this is a newer article, and this is like a huge amount of work to do this. But typically, what happens is I link back to one of these. I think what is the wave like Nona? So what I do is I have the main, like this is the main like catch-all, and then I start writing for the specific location that I want to work.
Sure. And then link to it. Yeah.
And I link to it. And this is not, I want to be very clear because I know wedding photographers are going to see this and be like, oh, I could just do the sessions that I did there. No, don't do that. What I want you to do is I want you to answer the questions they would have about this location so you can rank for it and bring traffic in that way. Okay. don't do this as like a session catch. It's like, oh, this is the session of Bob and Jill. No, throw those images
Yeah.
in there. I want you to just do your best 20 images at that location specifically as you're fitting it in here. If you don't have location, photos of the location, but you do want to work there, you can go do a tour and get photos that way and connect with vendors there. It is good or better to have photos of couples as they go through here. You're going to see your engagement rate and your click-through rate go way higher when you have photos of people actually at those locations.
For me as a family photographer, just like, I mean, most parks, tall grass, it all looks the same. I can just keep interspersing those into these location blogs, right? It's all the same.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah, totally. Same thing for, I mean, again, for you, for wedding photos, whatever, if you have an industrial location, you have a couple in front of an industrial venue, as long as it's not specific to the venue and it's not like the outside shot, you could probably switch it over and use that photo too. So yeah, parks to parks, I think that's a great idea.
Basically, I'm on the right track already. I just can improve it by adding the metadata and, you know.
There's a couple little tweaks you can do right now, but you're on the right path. And I think it's, how long have those blogs been written up for?
Not very long, like some of the ones like scrolling back have been there for maybe a month. I honestly haven't really checked their rankings.
Go ahead and do a check. Do you use what's your site built
Okay,
off
I
of?
have, now I lost it, Rank Tracker. I have like a lifetime subscription to that, but I also have
Okay.
like free Uber Suggest and
Well, what's your site built off of?
oh, my site is on Show It.
Yeah, it's on Show It. Okay, so your blogs are through WordPress.
Yes.
Cool. This is a really cool tool. It's called Google Site Kit. Okay. And what happens with Google Site Kit is I can go to any of my blog articles and just go to the top and see how they're doing and what kind of what's working
That's just a
for
free
what.
plugin.
It's totally free. And what it does, let's find one that's been up for like at least a decent amount of
I do
time.
that through WordPress.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so this one right here. So if I click on, if I go look through Google
Yeah.
Site Kit, I'll see
That's
how
awesome.
how this particular thing is doing, and then I can click on it and get even more information. So
Wow.
in the back end of Google Site Kit, guys, you can click on more details. And what this does is this pulls in your analytical data and it pulls in your keyword data so you can see where everything's at. Now I can see, take a look at this blog, 91% of the traffic going to this is from organic search.
Yeah.
I'm not posting shit on my social media. You guys can look at my Instagram. I don't even use hashtags anymore because I don't care about it. That's
Yeah.
only through me doing this stuff. Now, I can see I got 269 clicks in the last 28 days. That's up a little bit depending on, and I have a bunch of these different ones. And I know for a fact, this one, I think on average gets a little higher than that through various sources. But that said, I can also look here and I can see from Search Console directly, which ones are actually getting me clicks.
Right.
Okay, so I
yeah.
can maybe modify or adjust or adapt. At the end of this, I can go down here and see my information from analytics. And I don't have to go into those two apps. I don't have to go play with them if I don't want to, unless I want really, really deep information. I can see it got 375 page views over the last 28 days, 328 of those were unique. My bounce rate is 75.16%. So I can always see, and I can go modify it. I also can see that the session duration was 1 minute and 54 seconds. So I can see what I need to kind of improve. Now, if my click-through rate was really low on this, I would know that I need to go adjust this. This is a number that I already am looking at this going like, I should go fix this. But I could see like, okay, if the click-through rate's really low, I want to see which one's actually getting clicks and see maybe why that would be so low. Because sometimes you're ranking for something that's not even related to your first term.
Okay.
So this is something I absolutely would recommend. If you have WordPress or you have Show It, this is the best tool to go through and check to see how your content's doing without having to like lose your mind doing it.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to Jason. Bueller? You there? I was like, I don't understand that 80s movie reference. Jason, you there, bud? Okay, Joy, what's up? Oh, there he is.
So sorry.
yeah.
Oh, well, wait. I'll wait.
Okay.
You can go ahead. It's totally fine.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I just didn't know if you were there or not.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I'm
Cool.
just trying to get work. Also listen to everything that's going on.
Oh, good, man. All good. So you got a question for me, or do you remember what it was? I can pull it up if you need me to.
Yeah, could you pull it up for me? I don't remember.
Not a problem at all. All right, so Jason, I almost typed in Jerry Berry for some reason. I don't
Dude,
really know why. You what?
a lot of people call me Jerry sometimes. It's like, just because it rhymes, you know?
It does. It was my first thought. Okay. How do you choose your spearhead? What's the next step? Just keep watching the videos. Been so busy with work, I feel like I'm falling behind. Okay. Jerry, where are you based out of? Jason, Jesus.
I'm in Chino, California.
Okay.
Orange County, California is what I'm trying to rank for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want Chino or do you want Orange County or do you want like LA? LA is probably going to have the most like cert clicks, but I don't know if that's, I've driven on was it the 505 over there?
No, probably the
101, 101.
101. There you go.
There it is. Yeah, I've driven on that before, so I can understand if you don't want to actually go on that.
No, I personally hate LA. I'd rather go like south or like to, you know, San Diego or like.
Okay, so you don't even want to work. All right. So here's the deal. You don't have to pick the location where you live. If you want to work in San Diego primarily, like that's where you want most of your work to come from, then you can pick that. Are you a wedding photographer?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what we would do, all right. Now we're gonna look up three different terms here. I'm gonna look up San Diego wedding photographer. Okay, and I know for California, you're gonna want to go city specific, but we're gonna do state. We're gonna go statewide as well, and also like area wide. So San Diego wedding photographer has got a volume of 880 with a difficulty of 470. Not 470 with a difficulty of 47. And then your next one down is going to be 590 with a difficulty of 48. So it's actually more difficult to rank for that. And then the next one below that is only has a volume of 140 with a difficulty of 45. I'm looking at these terms because they have the highest volume. So these are the ones that I'm going to be trying to choose between. Now, the difficulty on these are all equal. So it doesn't make a difference whether I choose San Diego wedding photographer or wedding photographers or wedding photographer San Diego. The difference in here is just going to be the volume. So for this, I'm going to try and go for the 880 as my main term.
Okay.
With that said, okay, after that, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to look and see what things I can try and rank for. Now, if you're somebody who wants to do like a bunch of Indian weddings, this is an opportunity for you. Indian wedding photographer San Diego, it's only got a difficulty of 9, which means as soon as you write your content, as long as it's structured correctly and you have at least 1, maybe 2 backlinks, you should start ranking for that relatively quickly.
Okay.
Same thing. You want to kind of go down here, and I know these have very little search volume. Okay, but search volume when they're tiny adds up, and as long as they're fitting to what you want to do, you can try and add those things together. Now, there are some terms in here that I would want to ignore. Like you notice, like this says search volume of 20, but if I add them all together, I'm at 110. You can rank for more than one of these because there's no competition. But some of these may not work for you. Like maybe you don't need to have a Yelp. Okay, that may not be like an important thing for you. With that said, the next thing I would do, so right now for you, I'd say right San Diego wedding photographer, if that's where you want to work, like ideally. With that said, you could also do Orange County. Orange County wedding photographer.
Yes.
Okay, and this is actually kind of interesting. Now let's make sure this is showing me California because let's do this here. So with counties, especially Orange County, because I also live in Orange County, but it's in Florida, you don't want to rank for that. You have to make sure it's specific. So I would click on the California one and just make sure that works. So not a ton of volume here, so these wouldn't be a good fit. I'm going to click on CA. Not really good fit there either. We're not going for Anaheim, I would imagine.
I mean, Anaheim is close. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing Anaheim.
You can just check Anaheim. But if that's the case, then what you would do is you wouldn't do Orange County with it. You would just do wedding photographer in Anaheim. So which, by the way, this is kind of an easy. I'm very surprised this is an easy win, but this is an easy win here. You may want to write some sort of content piece, maybe just even a paragraph that would mention that you go work in Anaheim.
Okay.
So we've done your city that you want to work in, and then we've done the county. And now just to check and make sure, we may want to do Southern California.
Yeah.
because that might be even more fitting. Now, keep in mind, you're going to get people with these terms that are going to want you to go to places you may not want to go. These might be a lot of people from LA. So it's a possibility. So San Diego might be better just so you're not working so much in LA or any of the other places you want to be. But you can check any city you want to work at and make sure that those work. And then that specific term that works best, one, for your lifestyle, two, for search volume, is what would be your key term. So in this case, Southern California wedding photographers or photographers, it's really not got a ton of volume. It's not like this is bad by any means, but the keyword difficulty is just about as hard as it would be for San Diego, and the San Diego volume was way higher. So I'd pick San Diego.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And keep in mind, you're not going to do this just once. You're going to do a spearhead keyword for like multiple pages. So it would be like if you're going to write another, like you can do a second homepage if you wanted to work specifically in Anaheim, or if you wanted to do Disneyland weddings or something like that. That way you could look up the key term for that, and that would be the spearhead for that. But for your homepage, it's like the main place you want to work. And if that's San Diego, I don't blame you. San Diego's beautiful. Then you could just choose San Diego for that homepage. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
And what you want to do, right? Because we've decided San Diego is it. Again, you're going to look at these terms, okay, and you're going to see which ones you can fit in naturally into like word copy. This is going to be your H1, okay. I wouldn't ignore photographers. Just try to make sure you fit in some plural somewhere. Like you could say a sentence in the copy later on. It says like, I may not be the best San Diego. I may not be one. I don't want to do the best because the best would be, that sounds too negative. But there are many San Diego wedding photographers to choose from. I'm glad that you're here looking at my stuff. You know, something along those lines. You can fit that in kind of creatively in the copy to where it doesn't sound stupid. And then notice the volume here is kind of going up. And then you might want to add in like wedding photographers in San Diego, best wedding photographer San Diego. I would avoid like things like affordable or cheap, because that doesn't seem like that'd be a great one to kind of fit in. You could do, if you want to do courthouse like elopements, you could add those in. And notice like as I'm adding these all like together, the search volume is kind of going up. Okay, so it's not going up by crazy numbers, but now instead of just looking at this one term and trying to rank for this one term at 880, now you have the potential of being at a monthly volume of 1.7K. It's massive. Okay. The second thing you want to do before you go like, okay, this is my key term, is you want to go photography versus photographer. Okay, just to check. Doesn't always happen, but sometimes photography has actually got more volume than anything else. Okay, and you may want to fit in, you may want to fit some of these other terms in and add them into your to the potential volume over there as well. Third thing you want to do, get rid of the word wedding. Doesn't mean that you're going to do anything that's besides that, but you just want to check and make sure that, you know, if there's not something that you can win that's really easy. In this case, the first one would be kind of easy, but it doesn't really fit for what you want to do. So you would ignore it, right? So we're not doing photography class San Diego, January 2022, unless you want to teach one, which by the way, if you want to teach one, this is really easy to rank for. I'm now tempted to create a workshop in San Diego because of how easy that is. That said, looking down here, San Diego photography 45, 320, you may want to fit this in a few times. If you want to do more sessions like at certain locations and you can fit them into your copy in a natural way, like down, like way past your first couple paragraphs on the site, you might want to look at San Diego Photography Museum as one term you might want to fit in there, even though it's a difficulty of 50. Do you do boudoir photography at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so boudoir photography San Diego, also one that you could kind of fit in later on down that page, or you could make a whole other homepage dedicated to that one sole purpose, being boudoir photography San Diego. This has got a volume of 210, but a difficulty of 18, meaning that if you had a page like this that was specifically about boudoir, you might actually find yourself ranking for this fairly easy and quickly.
Good to know.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just going to kind of look at different terms and see what kind of fits. And you might fit in like locations you love shooting specifically in San Diego. Like you want to do like a city wiki, like at the bottom, just be like, these are my favorite places to shoot in San Diego, or I love San Diego because of the staircase or Sunset Cliffs or whatever.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you might even find like, I would guess just because Sunset Cliffs is so pretty down there. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to type in Sunset Cliffs wedding just to see what there is.
Yeah.
Shit, that's easy. Okay, take a look. Take a look at this. Now, this would be something you could write a blog about, and you could just go there, take a couple pictures at sunset, and find a couple who's proposing or getting married, and take a couple quick pictures of them. I was there literally for like 6 hours and found like 3 or 4 couples to like take pictures of real quick. It's an easy win if you don't have the content already. However, being you live there, I'm imagining you've been there taking photos before.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are stupid easy.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
This is like a difficulty of 20, 18, 20, 23. And what you would do is, this might be a better blog post than it is like a homepage, but like you could write about like having a Sunset Cliffs wedding, what the permit situation would look like, what the cost would be. Osprey Point, I believe, is somewhere over there. You might want to like maybe do a picture at Osprey Point. See if you find anything else in here that would like make sense to kind of bring in. Sunset Cliffs wedding photos would be good. And there's no competition for that one at all. And then if there's any wedding venues over there, you might want to add those in. And then take a look. This is an article that has very little competition that you could write up that has a volume of 480.
Okay.
Now that doesn't mean you're going to get all 480 of those, but like you might get a couple of those, and that's a couple extra wedding inquiries that you're barely even competing for, while your main term is working to get it up there because it is a more difficult term.
This is exciting stuff.
Yeah, man, it's just a lot. I mean, you have so many spots in San Diego that are kind of easy where you can look it up. I mean, I'm gonna guess you could probably find something for Hodads or the other places that are down there. That would give you some sort of traffic.
You could try Balboa Park.
Balboa Park.
That's a pretty popular. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've actually went swimming as a kid there at Balboa Park. Is that the beach or no?
No, it's like a whole like city in itself. It's huge.
Okay. Yeah. So you can see here, Balboa Park, 390, 45. So this is a little more difficult. But that doesn't mean there's not something to look for here. Okay. And you do the exact same thing that you're going to do for your homepage is what you're going to do for the pages that are connected to that. So if you're going to do like a blog about Balboa Park weddings, then you would want to create your spearhead term and make sure you find related terms and add in whatever makes sense. Don't ignore these terms here just because they only have a volume of 30. They also have no competition whatsoever, which means you're going to get a page 1 ranking for that fairly quickly in most cases.
Gotcha. Okay.
And those people are probably way more they're being way more intentional. Like Balboa Park Botanical Garden wedding, they're probably looking for photos of that in most cases, but they're probably also looking to get married at that location. And then these terms right here are going to be, these are almost like, these are your H2s basically. Wedding costs, permit, pictures, reception, wedding costs, rose garden. These are all great things to do. But yeah, I would go ahead and get into a tool like SEMrush and play around for a little while and just create a content map. Because that one before, the Sunset Cliffs is like that's a very easy win.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm gonna work on that like today for sure.
Yeah, and those would even, I mean, shoot, that's a fun wedding to shoot. Cool. All right. Anything else?
Could you look at my website and see if I'm ranking for anything? Like it's pretty new, and I switched from Squarespace to Pixie
Okay.
Kind of frustrated with Squarespace, and my website got hacked last year. So that was a whole fiasco.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Gorgeous work. Got a photo of yourself. Looks pretty good. Oh, you've done stuff at Yosemite too. Hey, Yosemite is actually also an easier one to rank for.
Oh God, I
Weird.
didn't even.
It makes
think
no
of that.
sense at all.
Favorite spot.
Let's see. Show you guys this. This is a cool one that I just kind of recently found. This is not crazy high for as popular as Yosemite is. There's a lot of easier ones in here. Yosemite Wedding Photographer has got a volume of 110 per month and a difficulty of 25. Wedding photos is difficulty of 20. So these are like places you could go win at, and you could, like, if you've been there and you know how permits work and you know locations for people, you could create a guide and be the guy for them and literally get to go work in Yosemite whenever you want.
That would be so rad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool little opportunity in there too. And people are expecting to pay like a decent amount for someone who's going to go hike with them or whatever. Like, so it's not even like going to be a price problem. Back to your website, which is all over here, Orange County Wedding Photographer. So you probably are ranking, you might be ranking for Orange County Wedding Photographers. I don't remember that being crazy high. It's just, the intention's kind of low. I'm gonna pull you into SEMrush.
Okay.
So typically you wouldn't do this in SEMrush. You would do this because it's your own website. You would do it in Google Search Console. But I'll show you kind of like how I would check to see if you're ranking for stuff. I'm gonna do organic research. Pages. So you've only got the one page on Google right now, which means it hasn't submitted anything else to external search engines, which is basically what SEMrush is. So I may not be able to see everything here. Positions, 3 keywords. You're 33 for your own name, and you're 89 for Jason Photography as far as this goes. Now in what is it? The Google stuff, it's going to be a little more accurate than what I've got here.
Gotcha.
But right now, you're not ranking for anything as far as I can tell.
No, I didn't think I was. So
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. Keep in mind, the more you rank for those easy wins that we talked about, those are going to rank way faster than most other things. I'm not saying that make those a priority, but just make sure you get those on the plate, because it can take anywhere between 30 to 90 days or more, depending on how difficult the term is that you're trying to rank for.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on what you're going for, because you're not going to put homepage effort into like an article that's not going to give you a ton of traffic, but is like really something you want to do, but the difficulty is high. So it just depends on how long some of these things will take.
Gotcha.
I would recommend getting that app. You have iPhone?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, you want to get the app that we talked about earlier, which I think is in Jeff's course. I have an Android, so I don't remember what it is. But it'll tell you kind of what your rankings are.
Okay.
Yeah, and you add your website and then add the terms you're looking to rank for and see how they're working. When you start writing the sub pages like the Yosemite Wedding stuff, then you will want to add one of those in just to see how that's doing.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Not a problem, man. All right, Joy.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey,
Hi.
how are things going?
Well, I've been really busy lately. So I don't have a question. I just am stuck in the same place. I'm not sure what I should be working on, but yeah.
Well, you gotta tell me where you're stuck first so I can give you some advice.
I'm like, as far as like my ranking, I'm in like the 20s, the mid 20s. Hold on, let me open this SEO Edge. I think that I'm at 29, wedding photographer in Houston.
Okay. You're 29.
Yeah, I've been there for like maybe 2 weeks, a week or so. I recently added supportive, well, I guess 2 weeks ago, I added supportive keywords rather than just having my main keyword on my homepage.
Were they so were they like highly competitive keywords?
I think that the difficulty was at like 15.
Okay. Okay. You got to keep it in mind. It takes when you submit something to Google, it doesn't immediately pull your keywords out. Okay. Let's say that it takes at minimum a week, probably a little bit longer than that for them to even pull them out. And then they have to test them. And then you start getting ranking in. Now, sometimes you look out and you automatically jump up to page 1 or position 1 for some of those terms. Sometimes it takes up to three weeks, 30 days, whatever, to kind of pull those in. And it varies. It wildly varies. I wrote an article a few weeks ago. Next day, it was like page 1 for the term. I wrote an article just before that, like a month before that, and it's still like kind of climbing up as it goes. 2 weeks is not that long to wait for things.
Okay.
You could, if you wanted to, because I'm looking at your website right here, you could add some more subsections into that homepage and see if it doesn't like skyrocket it a little bit. Houston wedding photography, currently featured on the blog. You could add some favorite session locations, some local restaurants or something like that to add in like even more contextual clues. Or you could just add in sections about what you do differently as a photographer. That would kind of like give it more context, like you might be able to fit in the term wedding photographer a few more times, or wedding photography in your location. But as far as like giving you advice on what to change like right off the bat, it just hasn't been that long.
Okay. All right. So subsections, you said what I do differently as a photographer, and then favorite session locations. So like engagement session locations.
Yeah, you could do that, or like, just pretty spots in the city that you love, or you could even write a little blurb about why you love being in Houston in general.
Oh,
it could be just about anything.
Okay. I hate being in Houston.
Well, you could write about that. I don't think it'll help you though.
Yeah. I understand though. Okay. I'm just taking notes.
Yep.
Other than that, I really don't know. Yeah.
How long have you been waiting to rank for the main term here?
Well, it's only been a month that I've updated my website to follow things that that Jeff has in the videos.
Sure.
And then
did you jump up from like a position on that though?
Yeah, I was at like in the 80s or something. And then I went up to like the 30s. And then when I changed the because on my homepage, all I had was like 8 times of wedding photography in Houston. So I changed that 2 weeks ago. And so I bumped up a little bit, but just kind of waiting.
You could go through and try and write alt text for all your images, make sure the names are like keywords basically of these images. So like wedding photographer Houston.
Oh, really? You're supposed to put the dash?
You should definitely put the dash. If you don't put the dash, it doesn't mean anything. Also, same thing would apply for the URL. So like if you have a page that's like, I don't know, let's say you want to work in Dallas too, and it's like forjoyphotography.com/Dallas wedding photographer. If there's no dashes in between or underscores, Google doesn't recognize it as a term.
And so you said within the alt text, that doesn't mean the title of the photo. It just means
it should be the title for sure. But what I'm talking about with alt text is like trying to write it in a way that it was. So alt text is for blind people essentially for the most part. And you want to explain what's going on in the image like you're talking to a blind person, but try and fit in a keyword if you can. Don't just take your keywords and just shove them in there because that's not going to help anybody.
Okay.
And then maybe add coordinates into those as well, just to see if that doesn't bump you a little bit.
Okay. So I should probably do this from Lightroom, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
And all right, because I was looking at when you were talking about metadata earlier, I was creating a preset. So where I put the caption, do I make sure that I put dashes, or is it the title where
the title should have the dashes, not the caption.
Okay. And when we're saying title, are we talking about the title section, or are we talking about what I name the image?
What you name the image, and then the title
Okay.
should match it. And then in the alt text, you should try and fit in a keyword if you can without making it sound unnatural. It's not
Okay.
crazy important for most of your pages, but it might boost this a little bit.
I can give it I mean, I want to give it a try.
Yeah.
So change the title, because there's a little section in the metadata that is called title.
Sure.
So that's where I change it.
Yeah, change that, and then also change the name of it so that it's
And the
a key
name.
term, and you want to vary them, by the way. Don't just use the same one over and over again.
All right.
As best you can. If you can't find any more keywords for them, then you can just leave them as they are.
Okay. Dang, I really didn't know about the dashes.
Yeah, the dashes
So
are
many.
important.
So many photos with no dashes. Okay.
I feel you.
And so I'll try that with at least the hero images. What else? I still haven't published my first episode of my what is it called?
Podcast.
Oh God, podcast. Right. I haven't
Sure.
published that because I felt like I wanted to at least record the second episode before I put up a first one, because the first one's only like 5 minutes and I want them to be like between 20 to 30 minutes. So I don't want people to be like, oh, okay, this is an intro. And what else does she have? Oh, nothing. Do you think it's just better to just put it out there now?
You're doing it for backlinks. You're not doing it for listeners.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's not. You're not, unless you want to make a podcast that talks about that kind of stuff. You're doing it for backlinks.
Okay.
You can also go guest on someone else's podcast if you want to get backlinks from that too.
If I knew some, I mean, well, you know, I don't know.
You know somebody with a podcast. You just got to shoot them. You got to pitch a lesson. Hey, what do you know that you can teach somebody? You probably know something. If it's another photographer, or if it's even like your local city and you're just talking about like awesome restaurants or something, like there's somebody in there that wants to have a guest somewhere.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be. You can literally get these backlinks from anything. I mean, obviously, if they're related to photography, they're a little better. But like you could go talk to somebody who has a podcast on like dating life in Houston or whatever, and you could talk about that stuff, or really any subject that's in Houston might work.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm just still taking notes. All right. Well, thank you.
You're good.
I don't know if there's anything else that I can think of.
No worries. That's all good. Hoping I answered everyone's questions.
I
If
have
not,
one last question.
yeah, what's up?
You just recommended Joy to add like a little article, for example, with the engagement session locations or what she loves to do.
Not an
about-
article, just a little paragraph, like a blurb.
Oh, okay. That was my question. Like a little paragraph that will go on the homepage, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it could be like, it's kind of like for your venues. So you can say like, hey, these are my favorite spots to shoot inside of the city. Here's like, I specifically love blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
If you want to read more detailed information, I have a blog about that here.
Okay. And that will be H2, you said?
The title of that section would be in H2.
H2. Okay. There you go. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Cool. Anybody else? Awesome. Alrighty. Well, I will see y'all next week. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Good night. Bye.